Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do for a running record is to grab a where to start individual record. It's a word test, and it'll tell you where the kids are at so that you know what level to pull when you're doing their running record. So I just let the student look at the paper, and then they can tell me which list they're comfortable with, and we've decided to start with list number 8, and then they're just going to read it out loud to me, and I'm going to mark whether or not they read it correctly. Go ahead.
Bandicare, metal, supplement, wind cycle, grotesque, nonchalant, contemptuous.
Okay, let's go ahead and go back to list number 7.
Okay. Consciously, environmental, exhausted, pensive, society, approximate, customary, reminiscence, malicious, intricate, contemporary, acknowledge, malignant, cubic, attentively, standardized, architecture, industrious, counterfeit, recession.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now we're going to take our where to start chart. I'm going to send a picture of it, and we look at the list number and we just match how many errors they had, or how many correct, actually. It's how many correct they had. So he had about 15 correct, so that puts him at a level U. And actually, I was able to kind of deduct that just knowing how good of a worker he is, and I already pulled out the level U book for him, and so I don't even have to go look for the book now because I kind of already had an idea that that's where he would be. And so now we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to time him. I'm going to write down his start time and his end time. And then I'm just going to let him read out loud to me after I read the introduction on the recording form.
Can I stop right here with the black?
You're going to stop where the black square is, yeah. Okay, so seismologists are scientists who study ways to measure earthquakes and their causes. Read to find out what scientists have learned.
Okay. What takes place during an earthquake? Huge tremors shake the ground, buildings sway back and forth. Highways crumble and bridges collapse. While it's true that major earthquakes do cause all this damage and more, you may be surprised to learn that not all earthquakes are so destructive. Scientists say several thousand earthquakes may be happening across the planet every day. However, the majority of them are so slight that we don't even realize they're happening. Major earthquakes. Seismologists, scientists who study earthquakes measure how strong an earthquake is by using a device called the seismograph. A seismograph is attached to the ground when the ground vibrates. The seismograph shakes. Scientists describe the seismograph's measurements with numbers. Since the 1930s, they have used a system called the Richter scale. Mm-hmm. If an earthquake measures below 3.0, the Richter people...
Hold on. Before you said Richter, when you self-corrected, and that's the way you say it, Richter.
Okay, Richter. People usually can feel it. Earthquakes over 5.0 on the scale can cause damage, while a measurement of 7.0 is evidence of a major earthquake. What causes earthquakes? How and why do all these earthquakes occur? The Earth has many different layers Its outermost layer is called the crust and is made up of huge sections called tectonic plates. Below the crust is another layer called the mantle, which is made up of mostly solid rock. When tectonic plates push against each other, a huge amount of pressure builds up.
Okay. So now you're going to finish reading to yourself, and then I'm going to ask you some questions, okay?
Yes, sir.